That summer evening had started out as ordinary as any other. 5 high school friends, Emily, Jack, Sarah, Noah, and Chloe, had decided to go camping one last time before their graduation. They chose a remote spot about an hour outside the city, near an abandoned village deep in the woods. The village had its fair share of creepy stories. Locals claimed that the people who once lived there had vanished overnight, leaving everything behind, but the group dismissed the tales as silly folklore or internet myths. As night fell, they set up their tents, lit a campfire, and started sharing scary stories. Laughter and jokes echoed through the quiet forest, but everything changed when Chloe's phone suddenly rang. What was strange, though, was that the caller ID showed no number, just 0 o'clock. "Hello," Chloe answered hesitantly, but there was no reply. All she could hear was deep, raspy breathing on the other end. "Okay, very funny," she said, trying to sound unfazed. "Someone's trying to mess with us." She hung up and placed her phone back on the table. The others laughed it off, assuming it was just a prank. But then, in the distance, they heard the faint sound of a bell. It wasn't a pleasant sound like a church bell or a wind chime. It was high-pitched and eerie, with a metallic edge that made their skin crawl. It rang for about 5 seconds and then stopped. Jack tried to brush it off with a nervous laugh. "This place is starting to feel like a bad horror movie," he joked, though his voice betrayed his unease. Noah, on the other hand, tried to be the tough one. "It's probably just the wind knocking something around," he said. But then the bell rang again. This time it was louder, closer. It seemed to echo all around them, as if the forest itself was alive. Sarah whispered, "Do you think someone's out there?" Right then, Chloe's phone rang again. The screen once again displayed 0 o'clock. Irritated, she answered, "Whoever this is, I'm not scared." "Cut it out." But this time, there was a voice on the other end. It was soft, almost a whisper, and it sounded like it was coming from far away.
"The hour is near."
Chloe froze. Her hands shook as she hung up the phone. This isn't funny," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "No one has my number. How is this happening?" Emily, trying to stay calm, suggested, "Maybe we should pack up and leave. If someone's out there, this isn't safe." But Noah shook his head. "Relax, it's just someone playing a prank. We'll be fine. If anything happens, we have phones to call the cops," he said confidently, with no better options. They stayed, though an uneasy silence settled over the group. An hour later, Chloe's phone made a loud alarm sound, startling everyone. She hadn't set an alarm, and when she looked at the screen, all it said was 0 o'clock, the lost hour. At the same moment, the bell rang again, deafeningly loud. It seemed to come from right behind them, yet no one was there. Then the forest seemed to come alive with strange noises, low whispers, the sound of leaves rustling even though there was no wind. "I'm checking this out," Jack said suddenly, grabbing his flashlight. "There's got to be a logical explanation for this." The others tried to stop him, but he waved them off. "Stay here. I'll be back in 5 minutes," he said confidently before disappearing into the darkness. Minutes passed, then more minutes. Jack didn't come back. The group grew more and more nervous. They called his name, but the only answer was silence. Then, faintly, they heard Jack's voice, distant and distorted, "Help me." Without hesitation, Emily grabbed a flashlight, and the rest of them followed the sound deeper into the woods. The further they walked, the more lost they felt. The trees seemed to twist and shift as if the forest itself was trying to confuse them. Every path they took led them back to the same spot. Suddenly, Chloe stopped and pointed to the ground. "Wait, isn't that Jack's watch?" she asked. They all looked down. Lying in the dirt was Jack's wristwatch. It was broken, and the hands were frozen at 12 o'clock. Before they could process what was happening, a sound came from behind them. They turned and froze in horror. Jack was standing there, but something was wrong. His face was pale, almost gray, and his eyes were hollow, dark voids. He tilted his head unnaturally to one side and spoke in a low, monotone voice. "You're lost, just like me." Panic set in. The group screamed and ran, but no matter where they went, they couldn't escape. The forest seemed endless, like a looping maze. A thick fog began to roll in, and with it came shadowy figures, dozens of them. Each one looked like a human silhouette, but their faces were blank, featureless. They surrounded the group, closing in slowly. By morning, a local hiker passing near the old village found the campsite. The tents, the campfire, and all the belongings were still there, untouched. But there was no sign of the 5 friends. All that remained was a single phone lying on the ground. Its screen was lit up, displaying a message, 0 o'clock, the lost ones.